survival skills at Wilderness Summer Camp in Vermont. The only reason he hasn't attempted Everest is because of the $70,000 it takes and his wife threatened divorce. He'd like to expand on his theme of taking time to be free from his icebreaker speech with his talk today, an 8 to 10 minute piece entitled A Walk in the Wilderness. Jake Goldstein.
I really liked doing the icebreaker, but my nervousness never really went away that day. Maybe it's because everybody's sitting there writing down every little thing I say. But I realized that I left out two important facts that I wanted to include. And in keeping with my theme of taking time to be free, I wanted to mention that after a slide presentation I was very inspired by, I went out alone to the Sierra Mountains and climbed Mount Whitney, the highest mountain in the lower 48 states. And the week before I moved here, my business partner and I climbed Mount Rainier, which is the most heavily glaciated in the country, under Mount McKinley. But it's not these feats that I wanted to speak about today. It's basically the issues that are involved in going about doing things like this. Specifically, the reasons of going to the mountains and what to do and what not to do before going, and the rewards of walking in the wilderness and maybe spending some time there. So how many of us have actually done that? Now, I realize that the state of Kansas is a beautiful state, but it's not quite the type of wilderness I'm talking about. I mean, if you get lost in the wilderness of Kansas, it would take all of a pair of binoculars made by Mattel to be able to see them 100 miles away standing on a field in the prairie. Now, the kind of wilderness I'm talking about requires a permit and a sign-out procedure with a ranger and some notification and definite date of when you'll be back. And an assumption that if you're not back, you're in trouble. The kind of wilderness that would take a helicopter search and rescue party to look for you if you're not back by that time. So this kind of excursion takes some planning. It takes some know-how, some confidence, takes a huge sense of adventure. And if you're not sure if you have the right stuff, take this simple test. Take a flashlight, shine it in your right ear. If the beam comes out your left ear, don't go into the woods alone. So this begs the question, why walk into the wilderness alone at all, or for anyone for that matter? You know, some of us just don't get it. And of all places, I found a quote from an old Toastmasters speech that exemplified this. It says, "These campers / masochists purposely set out to make themselves as uncomfortable as possible. They physically remove themselves from a safe, warm environment to be amongst blood-sucking insects and large carnivorous animals." I don't look at it that way. So I kind of look at it like this. In this megapixel world of instantaneous information and multitasking, sometimes it's nice to learn of the simple things. To understand what real silence is like. To realize that the reality of the city life is no less real than the beauty and solitude of wilderness. To appreciate that sometimes it's nice to sit on a mountaintop and think of nothing at all. Except that it's truly a nice thing to sit on a mountaintop and think of nothing at all. Of course, the first thing to decide is where to go. There are 388 national parks in this country and over 109 million designated wilderness acres. There's got to be a place that will inspire you. Seashore, alpine tundra, Arctic tundra, alpine meadows, and desert plains. There's got to be a place that you will come to be inspired by. The internet is the perfect place to look into what type of destination would be best suited for you. Once you made the decision of where to go and how to get there, the next most basic preparation is what to bring. Now let me stop here and let me say that I understand that there are those that find this entire concept utterly ridiculous. And for those, the top 3 items on your list would be a hairdryer, an iPod with video, and a cell phone to make reservations. But in reality, when you're in the remote high country, there is no mirror to make sure that your hair is in place, and the cell phone reception stinks, and there are no roads to get to a restaurant. You're forced to put your house on your back. But we're earthy, crunchy wannabes. We're in shape, and we're used to carrying the world on our shoulders. So why would this be any different? Well, it is. It goes something like this. I wonder if I'll need this. Yeah, it looks like something I could use. It's not that heavy. And in the pack it goes. And when you're done packing up the rest of the kitchen sink, you got your bag on your back. Maybe you'll make it a few feet into the woods, but you're going to wish that there was a post office in the middle of the woods to send half your stuff back. So pack light, but you have to pack the right things. And like the scouts say, be prepared. I've seen it snow in New Hampshire in July, never mind Colorado. I've seen lightning storms arrive within minutes on a mountaintop. And I've seen trail markings virtually disappear because of deep snow and deep, heavy snow. So it's crucial to always be prepared in mountain wilderness. Water, a lighter, knife, extra clothes, extra food, rain gear are some of the basic things that you always need to have with you, even on a simple day hike. Oh yeah, and a map. There are over 300 people that are lost in the forests in this country every year. Always knowing where you are in the wilderness is crucial. It reminds me of a sign that I love that's on a chairlift pole in a ski area in Vermont. It always makes me think about the fine line between getting back to your car and winding up as a search and rescue story in the local news. And it goes like this. These woods are as cold and lonely as they were 200 years ago. Stay on the trail. If you're not comfortable with a map and compass, never wander far from the marked trail. Which leads me, well, especially being lost is no fun when you're alone. And that leads me to my next point. As I mentioned before, there are some prerequisites before planning a trip like this. And one of them is overcoming the fear of the unknown. It's a strange thing when you pull up to the trailhead in your car and you pack up the last little things in your pack, and you step away from your car and you look at it as your last salvation for an easy, comfortable experience. And as you get further and further away, it's almost as if you threw your life jacket overboard and watched it float away. And as the car gets smaller and smaller and eventually disappears, you realize stark reality that you are alone. And as the day goes on and it gets dark, it's funny how you start to hear every little twitch of the leaves and every little wisp of the wind. What was that? Who's there? What was that? But you start to be comfortable in the confidence of your preparation and the fact that you're, well, probably more safer than anyone else back home in the city. And once you do return to the complexities of modern life, you'll see that you're a little different. You may have experienced an immense sense of humility, standing next to a 3,000-foot granite wall, or triumph and elation after summiting a 14,000-foot mountain, thinking that you're the only one at that moment looking at the top of the world. After some readjustment, you feel refreshed, better able to take on the struggles of your daily life. You've found more personal meaning in your existence because you have a different outlook in your place in the web of life. And this, I think, is a lot to get out of just a simple thing such as walking. Thank you.